Joe?
Yes, please.
I have this.
We should be streaming
open the window or something, right?
Yeah, because it should be.
I'll link to the stream
Let's have
stage.
these lights on.
It's all gone very quiet in here. Oh, there he is.
Oh, are we on? Hey everyone. Oh, over here.
Yeah,
hey guys.
You've got an advert running, dude. Or at least you have for me.
So.
Hi.
Oh, actually.
Give it a minute to let the advert pass for anybody who got bombarded with that, and then it should go live.
Okay.
Also, I might want to tweet this out.
Where's the controller gone for them?
Yeah, I muted sound because it was already through my head. Oh shit.
Oh, that was weird. That was like Sage and a Sage.
But you can't.
That like.
They can all hear you, Sage.
Okay, hey guys, can you hear us? Let's just see what the guys in the stream have to say about the sound, what's too loud and stuff.
Well, apparently Sage is quite loud.
Okay, echo. Okay, look. Okay, the controller.
There's some music in the background now.
George, but we should tweet it, right?
Echo, apparently. Right, shut the door.
I think some of the echo might just be from the room, and
Yeah.
I can't hear my own voice,
That's
unfortunately.
way too high. Yeah. Could be slightly louder. Okay, guys. If you'd like to welcome, we've joined by Sage, Aaron from Last Time Gamers, and Scott. So, yeah.
Just forget about it.
Hello, hello.
Mute Sage. Oh, okay, hold up. Maybe there's some volume issue here. Okay. Too much echo. Okay, guys, I'm sorry if there is any echo. We were trying to do it without headphones, but we'll try and minimize that the most. So if it gets too crazy, let me just turn down Sage a little bit more. And yeah. Someone's really quiet now. Okay, should we get started with the questions then? Yeah, any of you guys can go first.
Right, Scott, you want to rock on first then?
Well, going through the notes, weapons. You were talking about first-person module. Is it just going to be adding a few guns, or is it actually going to be like an overhaul of the whole system? Like aim down sight, scope, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we plan to add few hand weapons, few guns, and that's one thing, and make it more like a standard FPS experience. This doesn't mean that we want to go like really in a first-person shooter direction, but add some of just only the feel, you know. So basically, what I personally would like to see is better animation of how you are, you know, like holding the weapon when you're shooting, and recoil, and reloading the weapon, and this in first person and third person, and what else? And to add decals, you know, and some damage, and that's it. Basically, like shooting in our game should have the same feel as shooting in Battlefield, Call of Duty, or Wolfenstein, or any of these games.
Cool.
Can I add to that one a little bit? One of my questions to do with that. In one of our early interviews, we talked a little bit about weapons and building them. Is what you're thinking about?
No. This like what we are currently planning to do is just, you know, pre-made weapons or like assets from us. Of course, they are modable and stuff, but not like creating weapons. We'll probably need to keep that for some future Space Engineers game or something like that, you know.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next question.
Scott, you doing your list first, or?
On the spot, thanks. Under the bus. Yeah, You must have
Do
something.
you want me to continue on?
Yeah, you continue because I've lost my track.
Some players are a bit concerned, or they're interested in your personal touch, because when we first did the few interviews, you said that you had a very personal touch on building and development. But some people are seeing you with the good AI team and wondering, are you still having that personal sort of touch on the game?
Yeah, so it's true that for past couple of months, more than 6, let's say, I was really focusing mostly on good AI and only little on other games. But this has changed. I mean, it's probably a coincidence, but like at the end of the last year, I made some. I don't know how to sound this to be like bragging or something like this, but some inventions in this AI thing, and it all clicked, together in my head. And then I wrote the roadmap and some other things, and now the good AI thing can continue with this thing. And before I did this, I was quite I always felt like I don't have time, for other things. I just need to work on this AI because the train is running and all these things. So, but now when I have this clear vision, clear roadmap how to do AI, I'm more relaxed, in regards of also looking again on the games and playing games and stuff like that. So basically, then it led to me playing games during the weekend, and then I had this Twitch thing where I play the game, and it naturally came to this that I will supervise our game development again more. It will probably still not be as much as when we were preparing Space Engineers for release, like this before early access, because back then I was working I don't know, like 12, 16 hours per day just on Space Engineers. Now it's like space, medieval, good AI, and stuff like that. So I just don't have so much time anymore. But still, I will be playing these games, commenting them, and so some changes that you will see in coming months will be mostly because of me, not because people around me, designing the game.
Okay, no, that answers it pretty well. Because I remember when we first talked a little bit about the idea of Lego, and you felt a building block by block, and you really wanted that personal touch. But it seems like you're adding to it in your own way.
Yeah. I think actually, like for example, when I played the game this Monday on Twitch, I I was quite surprised by Space Engineers because it was better than what I would expect. And I mean, it's not like I was completely ignoring the game for last year. I was still like, I'm always in some discussions with people and so on, but I was a little bit detached. And so when I see what this vision that I had came through to the realization as it is today, and it needs only the final touches, to make it really polished and really feel good when you are playing it, then I was really very happy with what I see in Space Engineers.
That's good to hear. Anyone want to do another question, or do you want me to continue?
You can do another one. I have a few once you're done.
All right, okay. So the next question is about scenarios and missions and the scripting abilities. What sort of things are we looking at are going to be added in this sort of possibility to make your own missions and scripts?
Mm-hmm. So from my perspective, just few simple things, and it's almost like a no-brainer. You will be able to script a simple mission with some submissions through a XML file where there will be some predefined events or things you need to accomplish, so you can move to the next submission, and then you accomplish something, you need to go to next submission, and so on. And so it will be this controlled by this XML thing, not by a mission script, like programming thing, so that we can make sure that people who are doing these missions will follow certain set of constraints. And just to explain, if we, for example, want to create some tutorial mission, just like we want now, we want a tutorial mission where you are going from one thing to another. So, for example, it starts like you crash on some planet, and now you need to find something. Then you need to take this thing, put it somewhere, repair something, sit in a cockpit, fly somewhere, and it goes like in this really linear steps. But these steps are very useful for players, so he can learn the game by actually playing the game, and we don't overwhelm him with too many details right at the beginning as we have it at this moment in our tutorials. So and we need a good support for level designer guys, so they can script this mission without needing to program or without asking questions like, can I actually do this in the script or not, and basically going always to programmers and so on. So we said that we will make a list of things that can be scripted through this XML file, and level designers, they will know these things, and then they will just be able to use them. And what are those things? I can only mention a few. I think the real list will be much longer, but it will be like you get to some area and some trigger switches, another step in the XML file. You go somewhere, you fix something, maybe that can be another trigger. You take something, that's another trigger. You sit in a cockpit, that's another trigger, and stuff like that. And by the way, like something completely unrelated to this scripting, is the issue of missions in a game like Space Engineers, because we have this dynamic environment, and one of the problems can be that players, they can change anything in the game, so basically they can screw up our mission. So let's say that you're on this planet, there is some small ship, and you fix this, it's perfect, and now you can fly somewhere else. But what if the player will dig a hole under the small ship will fall to the, to the planet core or something like this, and he will never be able to sit in the ship and fly to whenever he was supposed to fly. And even if we fix like this, so for example, with actual discussions that, okay, so let's disable like drilling or anything, so player cannot change nothing in the environment. But then you start to get more and more artificial constraints or artificial this is prohibited and this is allowed and all these things. And in my opinion, it's a never-ending story, and it would be just pain to do missions like this. So we think that to make sure that player didn't get in some inconsistent state in the mission, we will have there probably some timer or something like this. So if you don't get to the next submission, or if you don't finish the next submission, this last submission will restart, and you will start from last save point. Even though when I'm thinking about this, actually even that last point can be kind of like damaged. Yeah, so we will need to rethink this. I think this is the biggest problem that we'll have with missions.
Okay, so thank you very much. The next question, or you want to go on stage?
I can start asking a few questions.
Oh, ask a few. I'll pop back in a bit.
All right. In the roadmap, you mentioned adding planets to medieval engineers. Was this just your way of saying you're going to be adding the full procedurally generated world, probably a flat world, or will you actually be adding cylindrical planets to medieval engineers as you have in space engineers?
Yeah, you can think about this like you have this Earth-like planet, and so just put the medieval guy, on this planet. That's basically the idea. And,
all right, so so will it actually be a cylindrical planet?
Cylindrical?
Or spherical, pardon.
Yeah, of course, spherical. Like that's the thing that we need to unify our technologies. Of course, in medieval engineers, this spherical thing is more of a problem than an advantage. On the other side, we are solving this for both games, like how to build stuff on a spherical surface and how to connect things, when they kind of like turn around on this spherical surface and so on. So, like from my perspective, it's about investing time only into one technology, because if we had to still be doing a game where you can have this flat landscape, then there are still differences, like the AI pathfinding needs to work slightly differently, building bases and things like that needs to work differently, trees, and these things work differently. Then the voxel material that's under or below the surface works differently, and all these things, and it's just easier if we unify these things.
So at some point, could we actually end up seeing multiple spherical planets in the same world in Medieval Engineers? Presumably, there would be no way to get between them, but you could.
Yeah, actually,
in theory,
it looks very possible, and I see no reason why we should disable that. So I don't know how the guy will get from Earth to Mars without spaceship, but I mean in creative mode probably he will. So that's okay.
Catapult.
And since these things will be modable anyway, people will be able to do this kind of things.
Very cool.
Volume
Of them.
I know. It was just to avoid the echo. That was the problem.
Ah, okay.
So I'll turn up a tiny bit, but it's echoing back because I haven't got headphones. So.
You also mentioned new maps and worlds for Medieval Engineers. What might we expect in that sort of category?
Okay, so this was about the default scenarios that you have in the game, and I would actually not expect anything spectacular at the beginning in this area. Yeah, this is one of the things that we will focus on later, like not in few months from now, but much more months in the future.
All right. You also mentioned the addition of gates, windows, and doors. Do you think there's just going to be one gate, one window, one door, or might we have a variety of different types of windows or doors? So 2 different types of doors, one with a window, one without, something like that?
So, well, I personally, I always want to have as few blocks and things in space or medieval as possible. But then people can modify it through modding, as much as they want. So, like, the way I see it is that we should provide the basics for the community and focus on the basics and make them as good as possible, and also make modding and all these things as good as possible, but then let the different variations to come from the community. So, like right now, I don't know how many doors or window would we need. I think maybe, I don't know if one would be enough, but maybe, yeah, I think like smaller amount is always better because you can focus on it, make it better, and then move on another much more important feature in the game.
And with your game supporting modding, it actually does make a lot of sense just to have the minimum, looks nice, and then let the community put in whatever they actually want to see there in that window slot.
Yeah. Like, for example, I don't see a reason why we should be doing 10 types of window or doors or roofs or walls or things like this. It's better if we focus on things that the community cannot do, like the core and stuff, and let this variation come up from the community.
I agree. I also saw that you were planning to add new animals, such as, I believe it was wolves and bears. Do you think most of these will be immediately hostile towards you, as in they see you and they come at you? Do you think they'll function like barbarians, where they actually actively hunt you down, or will it be something along the lines of you have to provoke them usually?
I would say something in between, or like less hostile as barbarians. And I also think that these survival aspects, or these like basically what's pushing you to fight in this game or to try to survive, these reasons like barbarians or protecting the statue or animals or hunger and all these things, we will be balancing them and changing them as time will go, and yeah, so that's pretty much the answer.
On to Space Engineers, I saw that you had in the roadmap SE indicator of hydrogen fuel. Does this mean more on the ship? You would have an indicator of how much hydrogen is there? Because I know when you're actually on foot, you already have a hydrogen indicator.
I will need to ask Tomáš about this.
All right. Anyone else want to ask a question? I have a few more.
Just one on Medieval Engineer. Changes to combat.
Yeah, so regarding hydrogen indicator, we will need to look in, like, with our designers, we will need to look on this much more specifically or precisely and have some discussions, because the current indicator shows something, but it's kind of weird. So we will have to rethink. So here I cannot give a specific answer. It's something we will have to decide, later.
Going back to Medieval Engineer, you're talking about changes to the combat system?
Yes. To be more like we are not going to do a sword simulator or medieval combat simulator, but at the same time we want a combat that feels natural. Just like we want to have good first-person shooter experience in space, we also want this good sword, and fighting experience in medieval. And it's hard to say some specifics, and so we'll take some inspiration from Mountain Blade. We'll take some inspiration from this. I don't know if I remember these medieval games that are so popular today. How is the name?
War of Roses.
Yeah, War of Roses, and then the other.
Yeah.
I cannot remember. Yeah.
Do you think you might take any inspiration from a less technical game like Warhammer Vermintide, where it's pretty much left click, right click, but right click to block, left click to swing, but the swing is more persistent, so you can actually sort of aim while it's swinging?
Yep. Yes. I mean, it's hard to discuss these things, when you cannot see it in a video or something like this. So about specific things, but I personally want some simple combat. Like as I said, like I don't want it to be a combat simulator or swording simulator, and it should be simple, and that's it. So it's in the process of design. Actually, I think that the guys already designed some ideas, but we'll still need to play test it. And but again, it should be simple.
All right.
Aaron, you had a few more questions?
Guess he doesn't. In the roadmap, you mentioned PBR, well, finishing and transferring everything to PBR, as well as I believe you said, I'm looking for the specific word, the final design for most blocks. I don't believe that was your exact wording. But.
Yeah. So there are basically two things. First is to fix this new renderer that we made, which is implemented in DirectX 11, and it's based on this PBR, physically based rendering kind of equations. And as far as I know, it's already fixed. And basically the thing is that now we can define the properties of the surfaces, through the texture in a much more physically realistic manner. The artists have much more control to make sure that metal shines like metal, grass shines or not shines, skin shines or doesn't shine as skin should, and all these things. And but we like the definition in the texture is slightly different when compared to the previous renderer that we had, and the conversion wasn't absolutely perfect, so there are some differences. And even though we had the PBR for last, let's say, 6 months, we were not using the full force of PBR, plus some of the things were just wrong, and so we are the PBR renderer, the shaders and stuff should be fixed at this moment, and the only thing that's remaining is artists to basically finish or fix the few last textures that need this. So this was the first part, and then the second part is a big task that we still need to do, even though people don't talk about this much, but I'm not forgetting about this, is to actually finish the models in Space Engineers, because most of the models that are in the game were there added just like placeholders by most of them, I think, are by Tomáš. So they are not textured, they are low poly, and the only good thing, and I think very good thing about them, is that the silhouette and the shape is very good at showing players what is this object about, like thruster and or like cockpit or some chair or something like this. and but it still looks low poly and ugly, when you get close. So what we do here is that we had few discussions where we were thinking how to do this, because there is already hundreds of models in 3D models in Space Engineers, and to do it manually, and where each model would be uniquely textured and modeled, with high poly, low poly, different load levels, and all these things, it would be crazy. And also different stages of construction, like you have these things which are under development and so on. So it would be crazy, like it would require many artists, which of course is possible, but to me as a person it feels like, how to say this, like brute forcing, this thing. It's like hiring 50 cheap guys who can do this job, and that's not something I want to do, because I don't like, we are building AI so we can automate human jobs, and then we will do basically the opposite with this kind of thing. So we are looking for a trick how to speed this up without cheating or without like decreasing the quality of the game or something like this. And we came up with the idea that actually most of our blocks in the game can be made from some little modular parts. So now we are working on these little modular parts. There will be about 50 of them or something like that. And this can be textured and modeled in a really nice detail. And then we will build them, pack them, together, which is much faster than if you have to design and model and sculpt every individual model from the beginning. So and I will see first prototypes this Monday. So actually I'm really looking forward to this. And but still it will take some time, to redo all models or remaining models in space. But like it's needed when we want to finish the game.
That sounds really interesting, sort of like a mix between kit bashing and some sort of silhouette matching. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, any more?
Sorry, Aaron, do you have...
Go on. I'll let you get away with it, Sage.
All right, you mentioned being able to add voxels back in survival mode for medieval engineers and space engineers. When doing this, would we expect there to be a new tool in our inventory to do this? Maybe something we could even equip the ships? And would we have a UI similar to when we're adding voxels in creative mode?
So here I was talking about something like shovel, so you are actually not just digging stuff, but I don't know, like the opposite of digging. And it will not look like the voxel hand, because voxel hand is there for creative mode, so it looks like some technical thing, like something from a 3D modeling application. This is more like using shovel to put material somewhere or to level the ground, and things like this. And so we will try to make it appear like it's not something that doesn't belong to medieval times, so that it's just some tool that you are using like a shovel, but it will help you to level up the ground, or like fix the ground so you can build stuff on it, or basically to move the ground, the soil, and dirt and these things.
It sounds very interesting, particularly the idea of being able to level something. That could be very useful in both games.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You also mentioned mobile tools. Do you have anything more you could elaborate on that? The idea of maybe crafting in your own inventory or something of that sort?
Yeah, so the idea is, first I will explain why we came to this idea. And it's actually funny that it occurred just now, because when we were designing space at the beginning, it was always like, yes, you will have this assembler and or refinery and an assembler, and then you will build the things. And like we were never thinking about some tools that, like crafting basically, some tools that you have on you, and with these tools you can build this little stuff, and from this little stuff you can build some more advanced stuff and so on. And yeah, but this is a different thing. The reason why we think these mobile tools are needed is that when you respawn, you like right now you always need to respawn with some ship, otherwise you don't have an ability to build anything. And so what it will be, I just need to remember, because this was some
engineering unit.
yeah, mobile engineering unit, but I'm thinking like it will serve like something like a mobile raffinery and mobile assembler, you know, something which is less efficient than, you know, like large block versions of this, but still capable of helping you build the basic stuff whenever you are. It's just like some survival toolkit or something like that.
So very, very slow, but enough to get you started to where you could build a proper refinery or something along those lines.
Because, for example, I personally really want players to not respawn in landing ships and, you know, these planetary landers and things like that, but just to respawn somewhere in the forest or something like that, and need to basically start from scratch.
I love the idea of that. That's something I've always loved about most survival games. I'm glad to hear it's in the works. You also mentioned official persistent servers. Is this sort of dedicated servers people could rent for a certain amount of money, or would this be maybe dedicated servers that you guys would host that people could just join?
The second one, and basically it would be servers that we will be running, we will be administrating, and making sure they are running on good hardware, and someone is taking care of the server. I mean, like this Space Master guy, and cleaning it up, you know, making sure there are no, I don't know, like some things that are not good for the game experience. And like at this moment, I don't know how many of these servers we will have. I don't know how much it will cost and so on. But what are the reasons? Basically, the reason is that the first option for dedicated servers, that someone can rent a dedicated server somewhere and host Space Engineer server, this is something that we already have. And people who just want to join to these servers, they never know what will be the quality of that server, and if it is suboptimal, then they feel like the game is, you know, not good or something like that. And the only way we can control this, their experience, and make sure it's good, is if we have our own servers, and we'll make sure that they are just good. So, I mean, this is a big challenge for us, because like it will not be easy for such a game as Space Engineers, and I don't want this to sound like an excuse or something, but you know, the biggest problem that we have is that, or biggest challenge is that we have this dynamic environment, and players can build anything, you know, and do anything and so on, and so they can always decrease the performance no matter how much we try. So there can always be some situation that someone will create some huge spaceship and crash with it to something else, and the FPS or sim speed will go down. But if this happens on some dedicated server rented on some dedicated hosting company that we don't even know what is their computer or hardware specification, then it's kind of sad for us. But if we know that its server, it has this gigahertz, this memory, you know, all these things, and we know that there is good bandwidth, there is good admin who is taking care of the server, then we can, at least we have chance to control quality of this experience.
And of course, it's a good way to diagnose and find out other issues that might arise, I would assume.
And another thing I forgot to say is that I would like to see these official servers to be on top of the list of the servers, and not because I don't know, like I want us to be the first there, but it's like when someone will just want to play Space Engineers and he's new there, he doesn't have friends, and so he will end up in these servers where someone is managing the quality, and not in some random servers, you know, who are maybe running on some laptop somewhere and nobody knows, you know, nobody can assure the quality. So this is why I would like to see these servers up, so people don't get bad experience from their first interaction with Space Engineers.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Danny?
I have one last question, and it's actually partially from chat. I saw some people asking, what are construction sites? I know in the roadmap you had mentioned a few times construction sites, I believe in Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers.
Yeah, so I will try to explain this on an example in Medieval Engineers, when you are building dynamic objects or things. Like, for example, you want to build a catapult, or you want to build a cart or something which moves, and so I'm not talking about stuff like building castles or houses or walls and things like that. So let's say you want to build a catapult, and now you would have to, especially in survival mode, you would have to use some tool and build, some block. I think you need to connect it to the ground. Then you will put another block on this, and so on and so on. And then at some point you will cut it from, you will basically separate it from the ground, so it will fall and it will become dynamic object. At least I think this is how it's implemented at this moment, but I'm not sure. And then someone will come and destroy your catapult. Basically the balance between creating something this way and destroying it is in the advance or in the benefit of the destroyer guy. Or it's just easier to destroy than to create. So to make this better, we came with an idea that when you will want to build something like catapult or anything like this, you will set up this construction site, which you can actually think of there are construction sites in a Command and Conquer or Dune or this game. And actually I think the name is from there because I kind of stole it from there. So you will build this construction site, which will be a very fast process, just like when you just put a wall or something, like the first construction stage of a wall, and then you will select what kind of blueprint of a dynamic object you want to be built there, and then you will just move the material to this construction site, and as you will be moving it will be building up, and then it will just at the end it will be there, and it will appear as a dynamic object. So basically we will make the creation of these dynamic objects not only faster but also much more pleasurable, so it will not be so annoying. And especially if somebody will destroy a catapult or something that you created this way, you will not feel so frustrated as if you really spent some effort and some time on something and then someone destroyed this for you. And so this was example in medieval and small dynamic objects. With space, it will be, I'm not sure if it will be similar because you already have projectors for projectors and these welders and things. But
Okay, I was getting sort of a vibe of a blueprint and a welder there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. And but again, the point even in space should be that you want to build some predefined object somewhere, like a spaceship or something like this, and you don't need to micromanage the entire process. The thing will just be created by some mechanism, for you. And so instead of micromanaging every little block of the creation, you just focus on I want this thing to be built, and that's it. And for large blocks, it's a little bit more complex for space and also for medieval. And I'm not sure if I will remember exactly all the ideas that we got, but and which one was the final one, which is still not approved, but because I didn't see it. But what was that? I think it was because one thing I didn't say about these small construction sites was that when you will set up this construction site, you cannot enter inside. And this is okay because it will be a small thing. Even the catapult is just few meters of a size. So we will be just moving stuff to this construction site, but you will not be able to go inside the construction site because then you would collide, with these objects, and that would just make the problem for the game. But for large blocks, we cannot have this limitation because it's they are huge, and plus let's imagine that you will have a construction site for a small ship and it will be 500 meters long, and you will not be able to enter this thing and so on. So that can be a problem. So we have some different solution, but I really cannot remember what was that solution. I think it will. The idea was that you will see this semi-transparent blueprint of the large ship or catapult you are building, and you will be just moving the material, transporting the material to these individual blocks where you can build this. And I think part of the idea was that you will also be able to see the blocks that are still missing when compared with this target blueprint. So even after you create a ship, a large ship, and you fly with it somewhere, and someone destroys some part of it, you still can see which parts has to be fixed. So I hope I'm not lying, but I think this was the design, and I still need to check it, you know, like if it is the simplest solution that we can do.
Alrighty. Well, I'm done with questions. Aaron, Scott, you guys have any last questions?
No.
So I've got everything I want asked. I don't want to run too much over time for the other guys.
Yeah. Just one last. At the end of the launch video for Planets, who had to clean up the popper?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Say that again.
At the end of the launch video, who had to clean up the popper that you fired off in the room?
Oh, in the last stream, do you remember we fired off like a party popper?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? You were outside, but they want to know who had to clean it up. But they were joking because they wanted you to like come in here and like vacuum up.
Okay.
It would be quite entertaining,
No.
but no, it wasn't Marek.
I don't do these things. I'm CEO, I'm too important.
Ah. Well, cool guys. If you got your questions answered, then we'll switch over to the other guys now.
Yep.
I will just go for a second.
Yeah, okay, Marek's going to get a quick drink, something break. So thanks Aaron, thanks Sage, and thanks Scott for coming. Well, you don't have to go right. Well, actually, I'm going to come.
It's probably best if
who's
we
a CEO now?
back in.
All right, yeah, okay. Let's see Discord. All right, thanks so much, guys. Everyone say bye to the guys, and we'll get Wasted Space and Mike B in.
There they go.
Everyone wave it. No, we're not going, but
So yeah, we're not ending the stream. Come on, dude.
okay, there will be more questions, guys. We're just switching over. Hold up. Okay, let's just.
Hashtag Zoc for CEO.
Am I out the channel? No, I'm still.
Oh no, Aaron, you're still here.
Oh, it's there.
Just hit the hang up sort of. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, who we got? Okay, guys, we should now be joined by Wasted Space and AKA Mike B.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh wait, I need to change.
Mm-hmm. Hello, guys.
Just switch this. All right. Okay.
Do I have that sweet space echo on my voice right now?
Yeah, I might just turn you up a bit here. Hold up, you're a little bit quiet, Mike.
Can I whistle the X-Files theme?
Oh, there we go.
I've been kind of wondering. I got a kind of deep
Look at all
voice.
these. Okay.
How godly can we go?
Oh man, like really godly actually. Try it.
Okay.
I'm slightly nervous. Marek's come back.
Yeah, he's here. I'm just fiddling. Hold on. All right, we're good to go really now. So, if you guys, one of you guys want to get started with the questions. The one thing I've been messaged privately about, reminding me to speak about, is the economy, because there's a lot of people asking about the economy. So, Marek might want to speak about that a little bit, but not now. But just remind you guys, if you haven't spoken, you've got that on your list. Yeah.
So we are going to speak about economy, and this is one of the like super early ideas or designs that we have for this. It's still not set in stone, not finished, but the idea is, let's say this, that there should be some areas that have something rare in them, so players gather around these areas and try to extract this rare thing, like voxel ore, obviously, and then there will be something like hubs which will also attract players, so they get there, and that can be a place where they can use these construction sites or something like construction site to build stuff for them, and they will want to control these areas because they can get some taxes from there. And what else didn't I say? So this is the basic economic model. Like, I wouldn't say it's a big thing. It should be only a small addition to what we have already in Space Engineers. So it will.
Is this something that would
I'm
support
sorry?
faction to faction trading and such?
Yes. Yeah, sell materials, buy materials, plus these hubs, these locations, which will naturally attract players because there will be something rare, something expensive. So it's basically just about adding few more motivations for players for survival play, you know, like few challenges or reasons to actually do something in the game.
Players want to control the hubs, and others want to take it away from them.
Yeah. So basically, players will there will be some hub. Some players will control this hub, and some other players will want to control this hub. So there will be naturally there will be some fights.
I like that. I'll go and go first. Waste it if you want.
Yeah, that's all good. Go for it.
So a lot of my questions are pertain to the adminning of Space Engineer servers. I have a few that I run alongside with some people. And first off, if you're talking about running an admin server yourself, hosting them locally, you might want to hire somebody to full-time manage those things, because they can be there's a lot of stuff, obviously, on the infrastructure side, and also in the game itself. Like you said, controlling when people want to build something super huge and then kind of slowing everybody else down. So one of the big community projects that we've seen ongoing is the Space Engineers server extender, and a couple other tools that are very similar to that. And it helps us manage in-game elements. For example, we can limit how many things people put on ships, because what ends up happening is, like you said, people build huge ships with, I don't know, 15,000 gyros or something, and anytime somebody looks at it, it melts their computer down, and thus limits the sim speed to nothing. A lot of those tools are great. They're community managed. Sometimes they're out of sync with the updates that we have every week. You already have Space Masters, so you've taken on some of those roles. Do you guys think you could expand Space Masters to support more of these, like block enforcement, concealment, simple things like server info, like a lot of those features in the game?
I think that might be regarding like the server. Like, are you talking about like the server extender? Well,
of course, the servers will not be here in the office. They will be in some co-location servers or places around the world. That's one thing. Then we will have. I mean, we already have, but we will have a full-time admin who will focus on our stuff, obviously, and he will also make sure that like the infrastructure, the technology for the servers is okay. And then we will have the Space Masters admins who will make sure that the experience is okay also on the gameplay experience, and they will make sure that the servers have the right limitations and someone is taking care of all the garbage, that's flying in the space, and all these things. So I mean, the thing is that I also don't want us to spend too much resources on this thing, because it was never the original idea, or it's like we actually wanted to do as few of these things as possible, because it's one of these things where the community can do it. So I'm seeing this as like we can be an example with these servers, that there can be some servers that are reliable and like a role model, but not like when you want to show off, but a role model that you can show that yes, there are some servers that are good, reliable, managed, and so if something is not working, it's not because the game is unoptimized or bad or something like this, but it's because maybe some servers are not well managed. So
right.
Yeah.
So I feel like I do a pretty good job managing our servers, and we do our best to provide the best experience for our players. The problem is that it requires so much manual work and using tools developed by the community. I want to see those tools added to Space Master. Like and that's what I'm asking. Like, do you plan on expanding Space Master to allow us to better control the game?
And I think I put this in the roadmap that. Actually, I'm sure that we need to put as many of these admin tools to in-game, or be in-game tools, so they are easy to use and basically part of the Space Master.
All right, thank you, Mr. John.
Yeah, there's definitely something on my list that kind of crosses over with that server side of things, and it's all to do with optimization, really, and how far you plan to go with the optimization of the game. You talked a bit about sort of separating out into a separate thread so that you get some of the areas offloaded onto another thread, not delaying the main thread. Is that going to go so far as to show us multi-core support, multi-threading support perhaps, or maybe the newer version Havoc that has some support for that stuff?
We actually already have multi-threading support in the game, and many things are running on different threads. Havoc still runs, or our Havoc still runs only on one thread, and
the multi-threading that you guys have actually capped out at 13.
So
There's some, people aren't sure, I think. There's some.
Okay.
yeah, but we are not using it, as far as I know, because we would have to basically it will run in the physics, but then we will or the game will need to synchronize, with this thing, and as far as I know, we are not doing this. So basically there are two directions in optimization. One is to keep optimizing forever. That's never-ending story. Like everything you are doing, you can do better and better and better, and support more ships or bigger ships or more complicated ships and so on. Then there is another direction, and it's optimizing some of the things that were not implemented implemented in some kind of linear way. So as you add more of those things to the game, the performance consumption is starting to rise up very fast. And third thing that comes to my mind is this idea about having these slow things on totally different threads. And I mean, we are already doing this, but the idea is to go even further. So there is no chance that anything in the game, any long process, will slow down this main thread that players cares most about, because that's where he perceives the movement and fluidness of the environment. So this is something we need to do, and so the basic experience is okay, even if something slow happens in the game. And then the question of continued optimization, even incremental optimization, stays as an open thing, because that's something we can be doing forever.
Obviously, and it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to do that forever. I was just interested to see what approach you were taking to it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hit up something, Mike?
Yeah, I see Rexar is actually in chat, and he says that he can make server extender better with updated source. And I'm assuming he's talking about updating GitHub. That hasn't updated since I think before Planets.
Well, I can just say that there's been quite a lot of people who are wondering when we're going to update GitHub, because it's been a little while now. I don't know where we stand.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to update the GitHub thing even now. But some people in the team, they are concerned that our competition is and will kind of steal, or exploit this thing. And my opinion on this is that I kind of don't care, but I don't know.
At the same time, there are already other games appearing, aren't there?
Yeah, but
similar. But
there are some games that stole basically a lot of stuff, like visual stuff from Space Engineers, but I don't think they stole the assets, they just stole the idea. And so they didn't need GitHub for this, anyone can do this. And so there is not that much you can actually steal, because nobody can just steal entire game and put it in his game, it doesn't work this way. It would be actually, in my opinion, much more work to do it this way than just to program it for yourself from the beginning. On the other side, if you see some solutions in our source code for some really hardcore stuff, then it can help these guys anyway. So, but at the same moment, I really would like to give it to people. I don't know, we need to speak about this, because I really would like to update the GitHub thing. And
there's a lot of people who are waiting to use it, and they're really excited about it, who are genuinely, they're not malicious, they just...
throw out some NDAs and issue code privately. Some of these guys are building some really, really good tools that, obviously we would like to see in the game, but until we get to that point, I would reach out to them individually and just get them the code at least. That way it's not stagnant,
We are taking down notes, guys. So yeah, we've got the guys have got their notepad and pens. So
yeah, we'll speak about this again because it's like I bring this on every couple weeks and discuss this, and then they will tell me like they are afraid, about these thieves and stuff like that, and then I am like I don't want to really push them, even though usually I don't have problems with pushing people in my team, but this is something different, and like I don't want to destroy their lives, with decision like this. So I don't know. We'll speak about this again. I promise.
All right.
Cool. Well, one thing I know has been bugging a load of people and didn't really come up anywhere in the roadmap as sort of whether we'll see anything on those lines is pistons and rotors and the fact that they're still kind of a bit dodgy, and whether or not we get any more things like that, hinges or power cables or chains or bits of wire or something more physical, the functional blocks.
Yeah, so I think that after, like learning how many problems we can have with rotors and pistons in this kind of dynamic environment, I think we will not do any other blocks for some time, because it's really like at the beginning it was such a simple idea, like let's add pistons. Okay, in 2 days there were some pistons, and then it was just many months of fixing and trying this or that and still not being able to make it stable under some physical like complex situations. So I can promise that we will not do any more blocks that can make our physics job more complex, at least not now. Like maybe we can do some crazy stuff in some future space engineers or something like that, but right now I would rather stick to polishing and fixing. And the first part of the question was if you are going to fix pistons and rotors, then I'm asking people if there is some problem with this every time, but they tell me no, it's fixed. So Tomáš, is it fixed or not?
It depends on the situation. And
so it's not fixed.
Yeah.
When there is low single speed, it's bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I will look on this.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Thomas.
Thanks, Aaron.
no, it's John. Wasted.
Okay, Jay.
No, it was Aaron.
Wasn't here for some time now.
He went out the room, so
So compound blocks are mentioned obviously at ME, and it's obviously in medium engineers it's kind of a necessity for attaching things and whatnot. But in space engineers it does sometimes feel kind of weird that I can't place like a speaker block in the same cuboid area as a interior lights. Simple things like that. Is this stuff that something that we can probably see soon? Maybe it wasn't mentioned that it was coming to SE.
Mm-hmm. I'm not aware that we are planning this, right? Yeah, I would like to see this. We're actually discussing this maybe half year ago, and that how cool it would be to build large spaceships with this kind of ability. And then we're also considering like if spaceships shouldn't be actually built from small blocks and stuff. But I think we will not do this in this version of Space Engineers. That we need to focus on another things.
Did you touch on Linux there at all, Mike?
I'm
No,
sorry.
Linux. Linux, do you mean?
Yeah, Linux, however you want to pronounce it. That's
Yeah.
another one I know people are really keen for the server environment side of things. It's so much easier to get your hands on a Linux server than it is anything else.
Doesn't it perform better as well? I could be mistaken, but
Well,
I think-
the first step in running a dedicated server right now is installing Windows, so you already have a problem.
okay.
So
Yeah.
Linux would be great.
Yeah, no, we are not planning this. again, like it's the question of priorities, and the second thing is that it would require a lot of effort, to make the game compatible, or at least the server side compatible on Linux, and these time resources would be missed in some other parts, maybe more important parts of our development or our roadmap, and so no.
Okay. I got a question actually about utilizing the beta system in Steam for testing on a larger scale. I know that you guys have focus testers, and you would use Steam to kind of get people involved in that. But I was just thinking maybe it would be something you could actually expand on, so you can have like kind of a closed beta test of a patch, and then for the following week you could have a more open beta. Anybody could opt in using Steam to check out the patch, and then even the week after that, when the actual patch goes live, they have the option to roll back, because you guys put yourself on a really tight schedule of every week putting out a patch, and I know that's stressful. So I can imagine having an extra week buffer to test these things would prevent hotfix Friday every week. Is this something that maybe you guys could consider?
I know what he's meaning. He's meaning like having like a stable and then an unstable branch.
Yeah, I think Daisy and Arma, they have this, and probably some other games. So we are considering this some time ago, and then we decided to stick with how it is now for a few reasons. First was that there will be some incompatibility on workshop. Imagine that you would upload something on the workshop from this most recent unstable branch, and then some guys from the older stable branch would want to use it, and it would crash, or who knows. There will be some inconsistencies, and of course it can go the opposite direction and so on. And so this was the biggest reason, like if we could have Steam Workshop that can have like two versions of something like this, then it will be probably solved, but I think it would still be also kind of confusing for players and so on. And another part of my answer... Sorry?
No, go ahead, sorry.
So another part of my answer would be that like this 1 week window looks like we don't really have much time to, like what can you do in 1 week? Like you can do multiplayer, or you can do planets in 1 week. But usually we are doing these things on a different internal branch, so there is some safe branch that we are testing, and then there is this like branch where we are doing some more complex stuff and more long-term stuff. And third thing is that I still think even if we were doing it this way, that we would have, let's say, 3 weeks for a update, I still think we would have Friday hotfixes, because that's just the way how these things work. That testers, they can, like, we have few testers in the team, 5 or 6, and they can basically experience certain amount of scenarios or situations in the game. But if thousands of people play the game after the update, it's just, I don't know how much more, by few thousands times more probably, because not even that, maybe even more, because I think there is maybe 50,000, 100,000 people who play it after the update. And this amount of people will experience a much more situations than these 5 guys can, and that's it. So we are just like, what we need to do is make sure that these Thursday updates are not on the last moment, which I think we managed in last couple of months pretty well. And also very important is that the programmers, they finish their task on I think it's Monday or Tuesday, but I think it's Monday, and then testers have Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday for testing, and the video guy has Wednesday or Thursday for also for making the video. So if people are disciplined and organized, then this is achievable. And the more risky, more long-term things are done on these separate parallel branches that we have here internally.
So I think that, I mean, just to follow up on that, I think that you have, actually know that you guys have a massive community that actually wants to help you guys test stuff. I think the mods thing, if we're going in as a beta tester, we know to disable the mods, right? And if it crashes, then it's our fault, right? As a beta tester of an upcoming patch. If we right now, what's happening is whenever something goes wrong with a new patch and we have to shut down our dedicated server or we can't play for, until you guys are able to get a hotfix out, then we're blaming you guys, right? You guys have 5 or 6 testers, and in the community size, that's not enough. If you open up a beta branch, then now the onus becomes, oh, okay, well then guys, if you want to make sure this stuff doesn't happen, then we need to get on, as a community, we need to get on there and actually start testing this stuff. So that's why I said, I think that having a beta branch that runs for a week prior to the actual patch going live is going to be beneficial for both the image of Keen and also for the benefit of the community itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, every game on Steam is early access. Like, every game's got bugs, right? We know that we need to sometimes make concessions in order to make this stuff happen.
Well, we can discuss this again with the team, and hopefully when the game will finish, it will be in a much more stable state, and it will be just like flawless.
Okay. Wasted, you got some questions there?
Indeed. Yeah, there's one thing because I watched your stream on Monday, it was quite fun to see you sort of getting hands-on with the 2 games. In particular, Wolfenstein was fun as well, but it was good to watch SE and ME sort of getting tested out. And you came across some of the things that I've been noticing as well, these little quality of life improvements that kind of dotted around, like being able to see text that you shouldn't and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, there's a big bit in there about asset caching and how you want to improve the streaming of data and make it all load, if not streamable, then asynchronously and so on. Mm-hmm. Is there any way that could be extended to what I think is the biggest quality of life problem, and that's working with mods, and how difficult it can be to paste in a blueprint and you've got to work out what mods it's using and find them on the workshop, and there's very little information about how to make all that thing work together. Is that something we could maybe hope for? Some sort of better integration in the game for mods, both loading games and blueprints and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. And you named it really nicely, that quality of life. And these are the things that I will be focusing on mostly, because as I see, like the team that is working on Space Engineers, they are really used to the game, and they are, in my opinion, quite blind to certain, unpolished things, because they are playing the game all day and so on. And when I launch the game and I see these little details that just are annoying, I don't know, it just degrades the game for me. And it's not like we were totally unaware of these things. Even like, for example, first-person animation or first-person movement was a thing that for the last 2 years we knew it's just a placeholder for a proper implementation that we will do later. But we were always pushing it like, there is like, we need to do planets, we need to do this new block, we need to do oxygen, there was always something we need to do instead of working on these things. And just now I realized, like, we don't need to add any more thing, like more than to polish and fix these basic core elements of the game. Especially when I realize that new players who will come to the game and they will get frustrated by these things. Like, we are first losing a lot of people this way. Plus, I don't know. Me as a player, I care more about things like the feeling I get from the game and the movement in the game and the shooting and stuff like that, and I care less about stuff that I will do maybe 50 hours, of after 50 hours of gameplay or so. So I don't care if the game misses, I don't know, the way how to connect some complicated two things. When I will just close the game in 30 minutes or so. And but you had some question. What was that? Something specific?
No.
Quality of life. These blueprints.
Yeah. It was to do with, because this is actually coming from the direction of people who are quite experienced with the game, and you're totally correct in how confusing Space Engineers can be when you first jump in. But it's more this idea of, for the experienced players, like a way to sort our save games and search through our save games, and a way to stream mods into a game so that when I paste in a blueprint with mods on it, I don't have to go back and reload the server with all these different mods and work out what mods it was using. They're all there ready for me, perhaps even streamed into the game as necessary.
So, yeah, this is something we should add. Okay, I will make a note because this is something we probably... It's like when the server loads, it loads all the... Yeah, I get it. And another thing was about streaming and streaming of assets. So you're probably asking in regards of these blueprints and maybe there is another thing that, or there can be another thing I can talk about, and it's that what annoys me in the game is that when I am, when some assets are not loaded and I do some action and I need to wait, there is some lag, and I need to wait until the game loads that asset, like some sound or 3D object or some texture or something like this. And we'll have a meeting on Monday where we'll discuss our options, how we can solve this. And just to give you an idea what's in the play, the thing is that at the beginning of Space Engineers, we were preloading all objects, all textures, everything in the advance. So when the player jumped in the game, everything was there. So no matter what happened in the game already had all required data in the memory. So there was no lag in this kind of scenario. Then we kept adding more objects and more textures and more things. So it was impossible to preload all these things at the beginning during the loading screen. Especially it would really prolong the loading screen. And so then we changed it. So it's like on-demand loading. So only the assets that you require or the game require are being loaded. But the disadvantage is that there can be this lag. So we'll have discussion on this, and there are a few options. One of them is like preload the most used things during the loading screen or during the main menu where player is just like looking around. And another thing is to do this asynchronous loading, which will mean that you will do some action and then the game will need to load some object, but they will load in some asynchronous thread. And while this is being done, you will see some temporary, thing. And this sounds like a good idea, except I think it will not work for sounds, because if you, for example, shoot for the first time, and you will not feel lag, but the sound of the sound will come, let's say, after 300 milliseconds, you would feel this thing, and it would be again like perceived as a bug. So I think we'll need to find some smarter solution than just this, but we'll see on Monday.
Okay, well, sounds really interesting.
So speaking of streaming the data that the client needs in order to play, whether it's single player or actually through a server, and specifically through a server, right now you guys store all of your saves in just raw text, which is fine. It's only like a couple megabytes, but it seems like the server actually streams the data, the loading of the world file fairly slowly, like there's a cap or something. And so what ends up happening is when we first built our server after Planets came out, we nuked that planet. Like Earth-like was basically just Swiss cheese, and because you crashed so many landers on it, and the world size jumped to like 10 megabytes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a 10 megabyte file coming from the dedicated server software that you guys have, it takes a while, and we could compress 10 megabytes down to like 400K if we use some kind of just basic compression. Is that something that we could probably get in to kind of streamline and get people in the game quicker?
I think there is some compression. Or why do you think there is no compression of this server data?
Because when I look at the save file on the server, it's raw text and it's 10 megabytes, and when I download it, it's 10 megabytes.
Okay, so this is wrong. Yeah, I was assuming that we are compressing all these things. Yeah, we'll look on this. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to hit up with one that I know you've discussed before and is more about the future than now, and I think you've probably already answered it with what you said, but maybe down the line when you're doing Xbox One versions on, can we hope in the slightest for something to do with VR? Because I so badly want to play Space Engineers in virtual reality.
Well, so maybe I can say this, and we actually started working on this and internally, but it's like totally unofficial thing, and like forget I said this.
It's too late now. It's
Yeah. No,
people are going to run with that.
The point is that it should not be the official feature. It should be really just like something that we will play with, and so the first step is to get Oculus and HTC support in Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers, so you can like use the headset and look around. Next step would be when these sensors that track your head movement will be working, so you will be able to walk around on HTC, not on Oculus, but with HTC Vive, you will be able to walk around in some very closed area, and then we can continue somewhere with this. But I would say that it will not be, or like it wasn't the part of the original Space Engineers vision or something like this, and I don't want to put too many.
You didn't initially like the idea or something, or you didn't really think it wasn't until you tried it when you were like, oh wow, this is.
Maybe I put it different way, that I think there are higher priorities than
yeah.
the VR, so we'll just play with it. Like it's almost like a side project within the team. It's nothing where I want our resources to be, spent and depleted and all these things. So, but we also want to try it just for the sake of it. Like, how does it feel to be in VR in a Space Engineer spaceship or on the planet, or in Medieval in some castle, or in some forest, or in some cave in Space Engineers, or like being attacked by the spider, or by these dogs.
I'm pleased to hear you have as many thoughts for how cool it would be as I would.
Yeah, people quite liked Monday stream, seeing you being savaged by the dogs.
Yeah.
So you could have felt their frustration. I don't know.
We will disable exploding.
Yeah. We will disable, and
Explosions.
we didn't disable it today.
No. Next.
Okay, so
Disabling explosions.
yeah, we'll disable these exploding dogs. I mean, the explosion of the dogs will be disabled, not the dogs.
And if modders really want to have like it, don't worry.
So there was a mod. I'm kind of almost running out of questions. I didn't figure we'd get through these. So there was a mod that came out and then disappeared for some reason. It was it basically supported structural integrity in Space Engineers. Now I know that adding structural integrity is going to ruin a lot of people's day. So what I'm suggesting and asking is if we can have some form of limited structural integrity, so that when I crash a 30 million kilo ship into the planet, it doesn't just bounce off of the corner and land perfectly intact minus a couple scratches. I would like to see if there's some kind of collision mechanic that could be implemented. If I crash one ship into another, there's actual crumple or more breakaway. Because right now I could put a 30 million kilo ship, have it falling to Earth, and if I have a giant row of blast doors in a pogo stick fashion, it will land on that and leave the rest of the ship intact. Is there a way we could get crumple physics in?
I think it would just not be like it would kill the performance, something like this. That's my opinion. That we really need to be careful about what is achievable on current day hardware, and we cannot want more. Like if I just, of course, maybe we would be able to find some good optimizations how to do this fast. Like we were able with structural integrity on castles or these deforming ships in Space Engineers. But in this opinion, it seems to me like there will need to be so many computations that it would just kill the performance. Maybe we just need to wait a few years, and then these things will be much more like cheaper to do. And the same question is also for the water. That from time to time there is some rebel in the team who comes and wants water, and I mean water is good, like people like water, water gives us life and all these things, but at the same time, it can be also really performance consuming in the world we have in space and medieval. I will run for a second, okay?
Okay, all right, cool, yeah. I had to go for a drink, so I think Marek's off for a little.
There's one left if you've got time for it. I know.
Oh,
both.
No, I think like, he's coming back. He just needs to go
coming
or something.
back, cool.
Yeah, no, he's coming back. Don't worry. So I think I don't know how he's feeling, but yeah, I think we're good for a little bit. So.
I was saying, now he's gone. I need to do something. I promise. This is the voice of the Mysteron.
He's back.
They're making jokes of me.
Yeah.
Oh, poor man. Assumes it's all.
Hey guys, he's back now, so you can continue.
Okay, yeah, the one I know is on Mike's list as well as mine, and it's kind of, guys in chat have touched on it as well. Relative reference frames. Something that means that when we're moving around inside someone else's ship and it's moving around as well, we don't have this weird, desyncy, jerky, hard to run around business. Is that something that's due to come? Is it something that's there and we don't know about it?
Yeah, this must be fixed, all these things. Like, Tomáš, I think like...
We are thinking of different solutions how to fix this, and we have been working on it for some time now. It's certainly better than it was, but we need to, come up with maybe a different solution or fix or make this one more stable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I will look on this again because I was assuming that this is already fixed because it was one of my most important requirements for the new better multiplayer. So I will look on this.
Awesome, cool.
I noticed it's a problem because when I was playing, I could see this shaking, this desync thing, even while I was in cockpit in the landing ship, which is weird. And then when I was on the surface or just walking on this ship, I also saw it, and it was
the vibrating,
the vibrating and
yeah.
shaping.
It breaks the immersive.
Yeah, it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
This must be fixed.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, I think. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about fuzzy dice, I guess, for Reddit.
Fuzzy dice.
Fuzzy dice, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's all we need. Thanks, Mark. Confirmed. Thank you so much for answering our questions. I appreciate it.
I'd be really interested to know a little bit about the skills that are mentioned. You touched on the economy and said nothing about the skills. It was just that single line down the bottom. It was like ME and SE player skills. I'm like, what does that mean?
People in the Twitch chat want to know too, so that's quite good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this has to be designed, and we have some preliminary designs, but this is one of the things that we all need to focus on much more. So it's really early, and the idea is that player, as they are doing some skilling in games, if I'm saying this right, they will gain, by doing something, they will gain much more skill in that thing and being much more efficient in that thing. So that's basically the principle.
So you get sort of passive buffs for, mining and stuff.
Yeah, and it's not leveling up, and it's not experience points or something like that.
Okay.
Is there some game that has very similar mechanics?
7 Days to Die, Ultima Online.
Okay, so maybe something like 7 Days to Die. Some of their skill system or close to it.
Very cool. Another thing, I don't know if Mike's got any questions. It sounds like he's probably at the end of his list, which are pretty hard hitting. I don't want to jump in.
Yeah, if there's any more stuff on the roadmap, because that's ideally what this should be, the question should be about. So I think there was still quite a lot of other stuff on the roadmap.
Definitely.
So if you've got any more about that, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And this is about the roadmap, and it's about those quality of life things again. You touched on sound and how some of the sounds sound really odd and out of place at times. And another thing I think breaks the immersion is both sound and light kind of disappear when you go too far away. And it's quite short. It's like 15, 20 meters away from the light or 20 meters away from the sound source, and you just can't hear or see it anymore.
Yeah, this is a bug. And like I must admit that for some time we are kind of not fixing sound-related bugs, so they stacked up. And this is just a bug in the sound engine, let's call it that way. And it's one of the things that I don't understand how can be buggy, because it's like it was working and I don't know why that something like this can break and so on. But like there should be some sound attenuation, as you go further, and so the sound just doesn't drop suddenly and so on. And I think this is like there are many places where this is totally wrong in space and also in medieval, because in medieval I could hear these torches, from like large distance, and that's like, why should you hear a torch, from like, I don't even think that you can hear it, like when you're close to it or something.
Yeah,
like in reality, like I think we can hear torches in games because it's cool, but in reality probably like, can you hear a fire,
No.
And or can you hear a light,
Yeah.
And on the other side, you don't hear many things in space and medieval. So we need to, like, there is one dedicated sound programmer now, and he will fix sound-related problems in space and medieval. And also, finally, all the work that the sound designers were doing for last at least 6 months will get in the game with new sounds, better sounds, and so on.
So I have a question about, you mentioned PBR earlier and having reflective surfaces and whatnot, and I wasn't sure if that would have actually answered this, but I figured I could ask directly. Right now, lighting in Space Engineers is kind of weird. Naturally, if I walk out of a dark room, I would be blinded by the sun, right, or by a bright light. And when I go into the room is dark until my eyes adjust. Right now, if I look at a room with a bright light source nearby, I could see in it. But when I go in the room, it's pitch black. It's like the exact opposite of the way it's supposed to work naturally. The other thing that happens is the lights, the spotlight and the interior lights don't seem to have any respect for volume, like the volume that they're placed in. So if I have a room with a light, if I extend the radius out enough, it'll actually shine on the room in the room on the other side of the wall. Is this something that we can that's going to be solved with the PBR testing that you're doing?
It's slightly unrelated to PBR. PBR is more about the surfaces, and these things, especially the first one, when you are entering, the dark room or something like, it's like tone mapping or this auto adaptation thing, and I think it's disabled at this moment. We'll look on this again. And because it was making some troubles, and regarding the second thing, these spotlights, I know that we allowed to set the radius of the spotlight, but I also remember that when we were designing this with Tomáš, we wanted spotlights that have only certain radius, because spotlights don't cast shadows, or like in other words, the game doesn't calculate shadows, Whereas the other light, reflector or headlight, or how we call it, is casting shadow, and that is much more computationally expensive. And in other words, also that if you had some room or something with 10 spotlights, and each one will need to have its casted shadows, in all 6 directions, because spotlight, I don't know if it goes in 6 directions, more like just one plane, yeah. So it will be less, but still it will be a lot of shadows, shadow computations. So we decided to go without shadows on them and therefore increase the performance. But we planned it so that you will have limited radius, so you will not see this light to be like shining through a wall. That was the idea, and it worked. So I don't know, maybe someone changed this, make the radius much larger, and didn't think this through. I will look on this. And we are talking about this, it's like, how we call it, interior light, right? Yeah, interior light.
Yeah, just lighting in general seems it seems like it'll use a little work. I get it in space. Like in space, if there's no reflective surface, you're not going to see anything. It's pitch black. But when you're inside a ship and there's light coming in through a window, your ship pieces are made out of a material that would have reflective property. So you would still be able to see something in a darker corridor. But that's thank you for answering.
Mm-hmm.
No, there are definitely some scenes, I think in both games, where the lighting is off.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
One thing, can you just ask Mike B to say a few words about the MBL?
Okay, yeah.
Just a minute.
Yeah, Mike, Tomasz just says he wants you to say a few things about MBL.
Oh, sure.
I guess this is like a good platform for you to...
Yeah, so what we started doing recently was building a robot warrior slash BattleBots style mini game inside of Space Engineers, and it's actually working out really well. We call it Mechanized Brawler League, or MBL. We even have a landing gear for our logo because we know how they are, and we've actually held a couple test tournaments on my channel. And they've actually gone pretty well. And I don't know what else you guys want to say on top of that, but I know that you guys have seen it and you guys are interested in it. But it's something that we have big crazy arenas, and we have 4 contenders that come in, and there's just there's blocks shed all over the place and just mayhem. And it actually is a pretty fantastic way of killing time in Space Engineers, I think. And yeah, you guys have reached out. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll add to that by announcing, in fact, that we will be doing an officially approved kind of competition of MBL very soon. So we'll be streaming it, and we'll be getting other YouTubers to come in, and Mike B will be hosting it, and probably Rope and Wasted as well. So if you're wondering, yeah, go check out Mike B's stuff, and when we'll start off probably by having YouTubers play it, but then once we know it works well and you guys like it, we'll do like a tournament where we involve the community, and there'll be prizes and stuff. So it's pretty, it's pretty exciting stuff. So if you want to get practicing building robots, now's the time. Everyone's putting links of some great little lists. Yeah, all your what do you call it?
We have a pretty detailed list of rules and whatnot. We actually have a subreddit too. It's just reddit.com/r/MBL, and all the links and everything's there. So if people want to see the rules, want to build bots, and we stream it every Sunday night.
Yeah, because we want to make this quite a big thing. So we'll be there, and in between the rounds, we'll probably come back to like the studio here, and there'll be some developers, and we could do giveaways and stuff, and also like maybe the odd question and stuff. So it's part of the thing we want to do to kind of involve the community, and exciting PR stuff.
Yeah, and I'm told that our site is actually up. It's a little bit raw right now, but it's mechbrawlers.com, MECH brawlers.com. We have some basic stuff there, so if you want to just kind of see a highlight reel or one of the recent tournaments, you can.
Get Wasted, or post it in the Twitch chat for people. I'll post it.
I'm on it already.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool. Thanks, Wasted. Yeah. So that's cool, guys. So yeah, stay tuned for that, because that was probably the next thing you'll see streamed on this channel. And obviously Merritt's going to carry on streaming on Mondays. Yeah. So yeah, I guess. What do you think? Do you want to cut it there, or?
Yeah, I think we covered many things.
Okay, cool.
We covered a lot. Thank you very much for your time, Merrick. I think the community will appreciated this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It would be good to see this again.
And questions.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll just wave out, and thanks for coming to the stream, and I hope you liked it, and we'll see you soon. Yeah, hope you got your questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Wasted. Thank you, Mike.
Yep. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Just run now, Mike, before I start going crazy.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Right. It's just. That's no problem. Yeah. Let me just. Yeah. Oh, it's just me now. I think I'm gonna have to leave.
It's not just you.
Oh,
Is
hey,
this you?
go. Oh,
All right,
no.
well, I'm out then.
Wait, no, I know. Hold up. I've got to end the stream. I'm always slow at this.